Godspeed. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get Growing Weekly Work Session with GetOiling. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by Colin and Julie. Hey guys.
Hi guys.
How you doing, everyone?
So we're really excited to have you here today where we are going to be talking about the 3 rules of follow-up. So go ahead and hop into the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. We're excited to have you here with us today. We meet every Thursday at noon US Eastern Time, and it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about how to grow your business in ways that you might not be fully fluent in yet. And then, of course, to learn ways that you can use GetOiling to get even more done and to work more effectively. So we'll be doing both of those things here today, talking about follow-up, which is something that everyone who is a brand partner needs to know how to do and probably do a little bit better than we're currently doing. So again, welcome. Come in and say hi. Let us know where you're coming in from. Hey, San Diego, Minnesota, Houston. Good to see you guys. And of course, yeah, let's go ahead and get into the slides we've got prepared for today. The team is going to pop out a video. We'll come back here in just a bit and hang out with you guys after we're done with the training. So today, as promised, again, we're getting into the 3 rules of follow-up. And what that's going to look like is why, first, effective follow-up is critical to your success as a brand partner. We'll talk about the number one tip, number one trick, the one thing you need to make sure that you're doing to master your follow-up every time, and then how to follow up with intention and value and not pressure. So if you ever feel like following up feels awkward or weird or going to get that all handled, taken care of, you're going to feel good about following up. And then we'll talk about why timing matters with follow-ups and how to get your timing right. And as always, we'll get into live help and Q&A. So if you came here with questions, we've got you covered. Colin and Julie are here in the chat, and I'm able to get to your questions here as well. Just try to add those to the Q&A live here on Zoom because we can get a little busy in the chat. So go ahead and add those questions to the Q&A, even if they don't have to do with today's topic specifically. And if you'd like to join us on a future call, you can. If you're watching this as a replay, go to getoiling.com/weekly work session to get on the list and join us on our live Zooms on Thursdays. And if you'd like to work together on a call like this one, you can do that as well. So go to getoiling.com/website review, and we can help you with whatever you need help with using your GetOiling system on the second half of a live call just like this one. And if you would like a hand getting things done, our team can do work for you. GetOiling.com/concierge is where you're going to want to go to learn about our team and request a quote. All right, so let's get into this. Follow-up is really important for you as a brand partner. If you don't know this, you have to, this is a statistic, I think it's fairly widely known in the world of sales, but most of us who get into sharing oils didn't come here from the world of sales. But what you should know is that the majority of sales take place after sometimes upwards of 20 or more touches, right? So someone's exposed to an opportunity to purchase something or to learn about a product, and they often need to be communicated with many, many times before they ultimately say yes, right? And so this means that follow-up is where most opportunities to grow your business are won or lost. And a thoughtful follow-up is going to strengthen your relationship and build trust. And ultimately, that's what we're looking to do when we're out in the world, you know, when we're on our website, whatever it is that we're doing, we are trying to strengthen relationships and build trust with people, because what we want is for them to trust us enough to give themselves a chance at a better future using our products, right? So a better path to wellness, right? A better way of living and being. And it takes trust for someone to say yes to that. Right? So we need to make sure that our follow-up is thoughtful. We'll get into what that looks like here in a bit. But this isn't just about getting an oil into their hands, because it's trust that gets the oil into their hands. And of course, once they finally do have that oil and they have that openness, it's easy to keep a customer because Young Living's products speak for themselves, right? So as I just mentioned, most sales are going to require a lot of touches. So do expect that you're going to be following up with people often, right? We've actually just completed the New Year Level Up boot camp. And one of the things that we focused on there are the brand partner pipeline trainings that we did here last year on the weekly work session. We have those on our YouTube channel, by the way. But one of the things that we went through there is utilizing a follow-up plan that has you connecting with someone at least once a week when they're in your pipeline, right? And it can feel like a lot. It's a lot of to-dos, right? But that is ultimately what the work of this work is, right? The work of your business is building relationships and strengthening relationships, whether that's somebody who you would like to purchase oils or someone who has purchased with you. So follow up, we need to remember, begins before you leave them the first time. This leads us to our very first and most important rule, which is BAM-FAM, right? Book a meeting from a meeting. This is the acronym you need to know. Book a meeting from a meeting. So always, always schedule the next touch point before ending your current conversation. Now, this is going to pertain, for the most part, to someone who you are actively communicating with about Young Living, right? So you've moved past the sort of casual rapport building to the point where someone has said, yeah, I'm interested in making some changes, and I'm interested in how you might show me how to make those changes, right? From that point moving forward, you never leave a conversation, you never leave a meeting without knowing the next time you're getting together. This is also true for your customers and for your brand partners. If you BAM-FAM, if you always BAM-FAM, you will have a team that sticks and you will have customers that get great results, right? Now, BAM-FAM works because it prevents you from falling off their radar, right? It helps to keep you top of mind and it helps to keep them on track with what the expectations are on their end, right? And it also creates an agreed upon reason to connect again, right? That way it's not weird, it's not awkward, it's not, hey, how was that oil I gave you, right? That feels a little weird, right? But if it is, hey, we agreed to get together on Wednesday, and now we're getting together on Wednesday. And when we agreed to get together on Wednesday, we agreed to get together after you said you were going to use this oil in your diffuser every night before you go to bed. And we're going to get back together on Wednesday and see how that's working for you, right? That's much more clear. And you're going to have people who are showing up and taking things seriously. So in this case, I'd love to check in with you next week after you've had a chance to review the information I gave you or sample the product that you're trying, right? And then you recommend the date and time. Now, you do have a scheduler in GetOiling, right? You do have the ability to allow people to schedule themselves on your calendar. In an instance like this, I actually don't recommend giving them the link. I recommend you opening the link and suggesting a couple of times, right? Because that's going to, instead of having somebody open-endedly think about everything they have to do next week and then convince themselves that they don't have time to meet with you, if you say, let's meet for 20 minutes, how is Tuesday at 3? They're much more likely to say yes than saying, when can we follow up for 20 minutes next week, right? Now, the second rule is to always have a clear and specific reason to reach out. And this matters because your reason for reaching out needs to resonate with them, not just you, right? So let's think about this from the perspective of one of our customers. We would really like to make sure that everybody maximizes their loyalty rewards every month, right? We want them to get a 300 PV order so that they can get all of the products that Young Living is including in those promotions. Of course, that helps your volume. It helps them use more product, right? We would all love that. But that really is not a reason that somebody is going to want to hear from you, right? We need to make sure that when we are following up, we are doing so in a way that resonates very specifically and directly with them, right? They're more likely, people who are leads or your customers are going to feel like you're actually caring about them, listening to them, and they're more likely to respond when your outreach feels personalized and relevant. And so the key practices to consider taking in here begin with don't ever say follow up. Hey, just following up. That is not something that friends say, right? So, hey, just wanted to follow up on that thing. Don't say follow up, right? Make it clear and relevant to what they want. And if you don't know what they want, you probably haven't had enough of a conversation with them yet, right? So we want to make sure that we are referencing something that they've told us, right? So an action they've taken, maybe a sample that they're going to try that you gave them. Maybe you're going to follow up to check on specific results or outcomes from them using that product, right? And then you want to be able to provide a clear benefit to them. So I'd love to share a simple tip that makes something easier to handle or something easier to do. So let's get back together. I'm going to share some guidance with you that I have that's going to help you get better sleep, right? So we had them get started maybe using lavender, putting it in their diffuser an hour before bed. We're going to check in and see how that's working. But also, when we do, I'm going to actually bring you a couple of protocols that we could start considering putting into place. How does that sound? All right, I'll see you Wednesday, right? It's so much more effective. Now, the final rule here is timing. Timing is so critical for your follow-up because if you're following up too soon or too late, you can derail the opportunity, right? If you're following up too soon, you can come across a little thirsty or opportunistic. But if you follow up too late, then you are missing the point of interest that this person has, right? We live in a highly distractible time. And if we don't have that touch point inside the window of when they're paying attention, when they're actively trying to solve a problem, we are going to miss the boat, right? So what we do here is use a consistent schedule that's based on the context. So if you maybe invited them to a class, then you would be following up with them within 24 to 48 hours, right? Because you want to make sure that that information is still fresh in their mind. After someone has shared a pain point in a conversation with you, maybe you're chatting with them, maybe you were on the phone with them, maybe it was DMs, text, what have you. When someone says, this is a lead, and they say, man, I've really been struggling with this, right? We've talked about this before, and definitely make sure to reference the brand partner pipeline trainings. But you want to make sure that you, A, aren't jumping right in. Like when you feel the oily spidey sense tingling, you're not jumping in and saying, "Ooh, I've got an oil for that right away," because that can come across as opportunistic. But what we want to do is come back 24 hours later and say, "Hey, I've been really thinking about what you told me, and I've got some things that you might be interested in. Would you like to sit down with me for maybe 20 minutes and take a look at those?" That was Tuesday, right? And then once that person has said yes, and you maybe show them a plan and introduce them to products that they can use on that plan to solve that problem, we follow up within 48 hours, right? And then on a weekly basis, we are still connecting, right? We're still following up. We're staying in touch, right? And you can make this easy in GetOiling by using follow-up plans and to-dos. These are things that remind you to do what you need to do. So let's talk about some practical examples here. So someone attends a class or a workshop, your follow-up strategy is to send a thank you message the next day, maybe referencing something specific that they learned or something that you mentioned during the class. And then you can offer a personalized consultation. So tell them, I'd love to help you solve whatever the bigger problem is that's related to the class. So if you taught a class, and this is why it's important to teach classes if you're doing classes, not just on Essential Oils 101, but on solving problems that matter to people, because that way you can have these very targeted conversations after the fact where you can help show them a personalized plan to achieving the goal that they very likely have because they attended your class or workshop. So then you would, of course, bam fam, because we are at a meeting. So before the class ends, invite your attendees to schedule a wellness consult. So before they leave the class, have them schedule their wellness consult, right? Now, once you've maybe shared a plan with a lead, you've got a prospective customer, you've introduced to some products, you've put together a plan for them on how they could use those products, then you need to follow up on, because we want to actually get this person sold, right? So reference the specific goals that they've shared with you, right? So I've included solutions for their issue. In their plan, and let's discuss how to implement these, and then offer support. I'm here to help you solve this problem, achieve this goal. And then make sure that you're using GetOiling's calendar booking system to BAM Again, always book a meeting from a meeting and then reference the notes that you put on their contact card to give yourself to-dos. If you've given someone a sample, you should check in after 2 to 3 days, right? Hey, just saw this and thought it might be helpful for you. So in this, you might actually want to find some kind of a tip or something to share with them. Maybe there's a diffuser recipe if you gave them an oil. So you can say, hey, I just saw this, this just crossed my path, thought you might find it interesting. And then you share that information with them and ask how that using the sample is going for them. Tell them you'd be happy to help them create a personalized plan. Bam, fam. How about we get together? Let me put that into play for you. How's Tuesday, right? So follow-up, remember, begins before you leave your first meeting, and always make sure you book a meeting from a meeting, right? Personalize those follow-ups with clear, specific reasons that resonate with your lead, and remember your timing. Make sure that you're following up promptly based on the context of the conversation you're having, and use your contact manager and GetOiling to stay organized and consistent. So what I want you to do next is review your current leads and plan your next step for follow-up. And use BAMFAM during your next meeting to secure a follow-up appointment and start tracking those follow-ups with to-dos and follow-up plans in GetOiling. So let's get into some live helping Q&A. And before we do, I actually want to show you guys where you can go. Here in the Success Academy, under live training and replays, when you click view by topic right here, it's going to take you to our playlists. And the brand partner pipeline, this is the one that I want you to make sure that you check out and reference. Now, remember, they show up as hour-long calls, but that's because we have Q&A at the end of our sessions. Your training, you'll find, is going to be in the first 25 to 30 minutes in most of the time, right? And these actually have, these actually have resources attached to them that will allow you to put all of this into practice quickly and easily. So let's go over here real quick and let me show you in your system here where you can find your follow-up plans. It's going to be under contact settings. These are follow-up plans. And you'll actually see that I have some of these from our, from our brand partner pipeline training here. Here's one, the consultative shift, and what we do in that step. And what you do is you apply these to your contact, and then you are able to follow up with them, right? And you'll be prompted by your system to make those touch points when it's time. One last thing I want to show you here real quick, under settings, if we go over here to general settings, I'm sorry, give me just a second, you guys. Hey, Colin, Julie, could you demo, I'm gonna make you co-host. Could you demo the follow-up plans feature? And I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can get my screen pulled up on the right account here first. I assume I'm not screen sharing at this moment.
No, it doesn't look like it. I think Ashley left her screen up.
Yeah, she did here.
I apologize for that. Ashley is not feeling well today.
Yeah, we've got a whole team, unfortunately, that's feeling a little under the weather. So I don't want to here. And unfortunately, my screen isn't allowing me to share. Shoot. That's great. Technical difficulties while we're sick. Yeah, sorry guys, it's not allowing me to share. It's telling me that I can't do it. Since the Donna, I've been sick since the end of January. That's brutal. Whatever's been floating around here is getting all of us here. I've been sick for a couple of days. My kids have been sick for a couple of days. Greg messaged earlier this morning saying that his kids are sick. It's a good time right now for everybody.
Well, her screen's not sharing anymore.
Hey, sorry about that, you guys. Are you still there? We're
Yeah,
still
we're
here.
all still here. So
Okay, sorry about that.
no worries. My unfortunately my screen wasn't allowing me to share, so I couldn't continue on. But yeah, hopefully you're you're good to go.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. All right. So
Thank you.
yeah, all right. So guys, this is what I wanted to make sure that you see. This little checkbox right here. If you click send me a daily email of activity and to-dos, if this is checked, then you're going to be getting an email from GetOiling every day with all of the to-dos that you have for that day, right? So if you're following these follow-up plans, if you're using to-dos and GetOiling, 100% make sure that you have this checked right here so that you will always know what to do next. So I'm going to keep this unchecked just because this is a dummy account. It has lots of to-dos that we aren't necessarily actively using. But let me show you really quick in your dashboard where these are going to show up. And that's going to be right here. You can see the to-do for the day. And you can even see historic to-dos if you want to go back further, if you are behind, for instance, like we certainly are in this account. And you can see upcoming to-dos as well. Right now, these are all older ones. But let me actually show you here really quickly. This says to like or react, to comment on their social media content. This counts, right? So I saw a question a little bit ago about the ideal number of touches. It's really there's not an ideal number of touches. It's really about frequency and the pattern that you're following, right? All right, so let me see if were there any other questions. Okay, yeah. So what we're looking for here is consistency and staying top of mind. So if you kind of follow the whole of the trainings that we do here, kind of following the whole system. I think was it last week that I did this? No. There's a bigger picture, right, that you want to make sure that you are engaging with, which is showing up and creating content, putting information out there into the world that is that's helpful and that is attractive to the person that you want to be connecting with, right? And then when you are reaching out to them, right, you're on social media, you are in the DMs, right? Like you're starting conversations with people. They are going to be more receptive to what you have to say the more they see you as somebody who shares information that's relevant to them. They're going to see you as a helpful resource. And they're, of course, rightly going to be curious about how you can help them solve their goals because you've positioned yourself as somebody who's invested in helping people like them, right? So if you're doing that, then you will need fewer touch points because people will see you as the person that they need to be listening to, the person that they need to be connecting with, the person who can help them, right? And so what you need to do when you connect with somebody that you believe would be a great fit, someone who you might like to share Young Living with, is you're going to be doing stuff like this. You know, once a week is how often this follow-up plan tells you to do this in the relationship building phase. What we're doing here is, you know, we're just going and checking in on their social profile. Have they posted anything this week? Did their, I don't know, did their kid win their soccer game, right? Or, you know, did they go on vacation or something like this, right? So like something that they did, right? Show up, be somebody who's invested in their life, uh, leave a comment, right? Be somebody who's active and invested. And the benefit here is if you're doing this, the more you do this with others, the more they'll see the things that you're posting, right? So this is a strategy that's not just about building and strengthening the relationship, it's also strengthening your visibility, right? All right, so that's going to be your to-dos here, and you can also find these. Oh, thank you, Donna Marie. That's very sweet of you. You can find these also on your contact cards as well. So I can actually go over here and see all of the to-dos that I have for this person. And I can actually come over here over to add under the to-dos and go find my follow-up plan. So maybe I am in the relationship building phase with this person and I can apply that follow-up plan here. And that's now going to give me to-dos, right? So once a week, it's going to tell me to like something that they said, react to something that they said, leave a comment, right? And then I want to reach out to pick up the conversation and add notes, right? Sometimes this is going to take a long time, right? With some people, this will never bear fruit. And this is why we just want to be doing the work of this, right? Some people just aren't ready, and that's okay, right? And you can move on from there. We have this really neat feature called contact rating, where if you decide that somebody is maybe just not a fit for right now, you can come over here and select one of these just to remind you to reach out to them maybe on a monthly basis instead of the more rigorous follow-up that's here included with the follow-up plans, right? Okay, let me see. Can you show us the different ways to add a follow-up plan, or is it only through the contact card? Now, there's a number of different ways to do this. And as a matter of fact, from the brand partner pipeline, I believe I have this as just a second here. Yeah, so there's a resource bundle here. If you have a GetOiling plan that includes automations, then my recommendation is going to be using this specific resource bundle. And the reason why is, let's just say, for instance, you go through the relationship building stage and you're ready to move into the next stage where you are inviting them to review information, including learning about Young Living, right? We don't need to then do all of the steps that are here anymore. We need the steps taken off of that contact. So automations are one very key way that we can apply follow-up plans to people, and that's going to give you the opportunity to keep that to-do list clean, right? So that way you don't have a bunch of stuff here. I have 19 pages of to-dos for this contact, for instance. If you're using the automation that's supplied there, so let me see, if I just go and I run this automation on this contact, I'm going to add the consultative shift automation, and that just cleared up a whole lot of stuff. Do you see I had 19 pages and now I have 2? So that actually took, so that I ran that automation, and what this automation does, if we go look at it, just a second, let me find it. All right, I have a few versions of it in here. So it's going to remove the relationship building follow-up plan and add the consultative shift follow-up plan, right? So automations are my favorite way to add those follow-up plans to your contacts. This is also because follow-up plans are something that we might want to attach to landing pages, right? And those are things that if you want to add a follow-up plan to a landing page, that's something that you can't just put in. So let me just go to a landing page here and show you. You can attach a campaign, right? Let's just pretend we're building one here. You can attach a campaign. Those are messages that go to them. But if you want a to-do list for yourself, for somebody who signs up via this landing page, what you're going to want to do is run an automation that applies the follow-up plan. And that's the thing that's going to give you the reminders, right? So that's so there's a couple of ways you can do it. Another, if you wanted to do this sort of in bulk, if you wanted to filter for a set of your contacts. So let me just go to my contacts here. And I will filter for maybe my brand partners. Maybe I want to make sure I'm following up with my brand partners, but I don't have any. Let's just pretend like there are some here. I'm going to go to filters. I've got my brand partner tag there. And then under actions, I'm going to, well, I guess I kind of need contacts here. So let's just pretend that, give me just a second. Here we go. So another way you can do that is right here. You can go to bulk contact actions and you can apply follow-up plans from here as well. All right. Did see that you can delete to-dos or follow-up plans. Yes. The best way, let me see. If you have people on a follow-up plan and you want to delete the to-dos, you can remove the follow-up plan from that contact, right? So the other option here under bulk contact actions, you can also remove the follow-up plan, right? So if I wanted to remove consultative shift from this contact, I can do that from here as well. And then when I go back in here, you can see that I have several versions of this consultative shift follow-up plan, so it's not doing what I want it to do here. But yeah, you can also remove follow-up plans, and that's going to remove the to-dos. And otherwise, you can just check them off, right? Because there's no consequence aside from, not knowing, but you do because you can click the things that you said you did, right? So you could also just check them off, right? If you don't have a follow-up plan and there's just to-dos that you've added, you can just check them off to make them go away. All right, so these particular likes, comments on social are not really considered a coaching activity. However, it's mainly to network and show up and build relationships. That's exactly right. Yeah, this is just basic, don't get too stuck in it. Just, go check out, see what they're doing. You're really doing this for context, right? Because what I would do is I would have their contact card open. I'd go over to Facebook. I would take a couple minutes. I'd do a quick little scroll, see what they've been up to, put a couple of notes down about their background information, like I've done here, and then shoot them a message, right? Because what you're really wanting to do is pick up that conversation. And that conversation, that prospecting conversation is absolutely a coaching activity. All right, is there a way to see or filter which plan a person is on or which people are on a specific follow-up plan? That is a really good question. And I don't believe that we have a way to see that yet. Huh. I think that warrants a wish list addition. I like that. So to be able to see kind of like if someone's on a campaign, whether or not they're on a follow-up plan. Generally speaking, what you could do, if you go and you look at your follow-up plans, you'll see that there are specific to-dos, and then you can find those to-dos, right? And you always have your unified list of to-dos for all contacts on your dashboard for a particular day. All right, of all the follow-up plans you just shared, can you do a quick recap of each follow-up plan? Oh gosh, well, so that's not super quick, unfortunately, but you'll actually see the steps here in this particular training, right? So I actually go into each of these, and this is the entirety of all of your to-dos from I just met somebody to somebody is going to be my next brand partner, right? So basically what's happening in this first one, I can give you a sort of a Cliff's Notes here, but basically what's happening in this first phase is we are connecting, we're building rapport, we are, making sure that at least once a week we are picking up the conversation where we left off, and where we're also, again, just popping in, liking a photo, leaving a supportive comment, something like that, right? Something that is in support of the conversation that we want to be having privately. And the purpose of that conversation we're having privately is to be a good friend, have a good time, and listen for opportunities to serve, right? And when you hear an opportunity to serve, which typically sounds like they share a problem with you, they confide some type of goal or struggle or something like that with you. Basically, when your ears perk up and go, "Ooh, there's an oil for that," right? Or I know a product or something like that. You don't say it, right? It's in your mind. That's when the consultative shift happens. Then we move on to the next stage. This is where we are waiting 24 hours. Then we're following up 24 hours later and saying, "Hey, I've been thinking about what you shared with me. I've got some ideas for you. Would you be interested in sitting down and taking a look at how we could get this goal of yours achieved, right? This problem solved, right?" So that's this one, right? And that's what we're including, like we're gathering all of this to do is going to have like researching products that we'll recommend to them, gathering resources that we'll use to share, putting together a plan, right, that you can present to them. And then from sharing to sign up, this is actually getting them signed up. It's all of those checklist items, right? And then it's, what it looks like to get somebody onto their hero product. And that is a big follow-up piece as well, right? So there's a lot in these. Um, and they're itemized, right? It's basically every to-do that you need to do to move somebody toward becoming not just a customer, but a customer who buys every month on loyalty because they absolutely love Young Living products. They found the ones that they can't live without. And that person has the best possible chance of becoming a brand partner. Okay, let me see if there's anything else here. I'm seeing a lot in the chat. Forgive me. If you have questions and I haven't answered them, please make sure those get into the Q&A so that I don't miss them. Yeah, definitely watch these. Again, if you haven't seen them already, this really is, I feel like this should be required viewing for anybody who is seriously wanting to grow a brand partner business, understanding these steps and making sure that we do them, right? And this is what GetOiling is so magical for, guys, because when you have GetOiling, what you are then able to do is go before you go and reach out and like, so your system says, "Hey, I need to follow up with this person. So, okay, what does that look like?" I can come back over here and add my notes, right? I can go and reference the notes that I added about this person. So here's, here are my notes. This is, what I put down based on our previous conversation, right? And so I can use that to go and pick up where we left off. So it's never going to feel desperate or weird. It's going to feel simple and easy to both of you, right? Because you are operating like a professional. So definitely, if you have not done so yet, make sure that you watch all 4 of these. Again, the actual training is about 20 minutes, 25 minutes for all of these. So it's not going to take you 4 hours, I promise. All right, I think it would be possible to create a tag and add or remove it to the automation. Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think, let's go look at that. Okay, so I don't have a tag in here for this, Cornelia, but if you want to follow what's in this training, claim this resource bundle that's included, and then just go in and edit these automations to reflect the naming convention you're using for the stages of your pipeline, right? So in this case, we might add, so this is the consultative shift. Let me just go back to relationship building. Yeah, so here's relationship building. And this actually, this does have a tag Young Living Lead, right? But this is where it gets a little tricky, and I don't want to overwhelm with the more technical aspects, but I know that you're a more advanced user of our system, Cornelia. So feel free to go in and edit the automations that you're given to maybe add an additional tag here that gives a little bit more clarity for you if you're needing to search for that in particular. But this does begin by tagging them as a Young Living lead. And then once they actually get to, what's the name of our next follow-up plan here? Sharing to sign up. I think the new customer checklist one is going to remove that Young Living lead tag and move them into customer, right? So there are some tags that are being applied here. But if you really want to see who is at what stage, you could use an automation to apply those. I would just honestly, for the most part, people are going to be in this stage the longest, and in this stage, well, this stage the longest, 90 days. Relationship building is usually something that's accomplished like much more quickly than that. But this is also where we return to. We go back here. If you go to the consultative shift, if you reach this point where you say, hey, I would love to show you something that might work for you, and they're like, no, I'm good. They're either not a fit, right? And you can just let it go. You can change their lead designation or their rating on their contact, but you may need to just return to relationship building, right? This is a cyclical process. It may make more sense to go back and return to getting to know them better because maybe you haven't built enough trust, right? All right. It's hard not to feel behind or like I failed with adding those follow-up plans and then not getting to them for a time and coming back. It's like eating humble pie. It's okay. Like all you have to do is check the box. I promise. It's just a box to check and nobody is uh nobody's disappointed in you or ashamed of you. You're good. All right. Donna says, I have to get more of my team on GetOiling. Is the Success Academy accessible to all membership levels? 100%. Yes, ma'am, it is. Yeah. And so if they have our $7 a month plan, they got everything here. It's all available to them. They're on a $14 a month plan. Yep, they got everything that's here. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be some limitation of features. So, sure, they could watch trainings on things like, you know, creating a funnel, but if they, don't have automations, and there are some things that they can't do, right? So, but yes, they do get access to all of these live trainings and replays, all of the great support resources. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're seeing that. That's great. Oh yeah. Colin, thank you for that. Yeah, you guys, if you want to get your team on to GetOiling, let's talk about this real quick. If your team needs to use us, which they do, right? Wouldn't if like, do you want to be the one training your team on how to run a business, or would you rather just tell them to come to Thursday calls? Go right here to share my site, and then you can go right down here to my referral link, and this is what you can send out, and you and your teammate will actually split a free month of GetOiling, which is pretty cool. They'll still, it's $1 for their first month, but then they'll get half off their second. And then after they've become a full member, you'll get you'll get credit for the half month as well, which is pretty cool. And the other thing you can do, and we haven't talked about this in a while, maybe we should soon, you could also, if you're using the digital upline coach, you can also connect your coaches so that you can track activity together, right? So, if they're doing, if they're prospecting and they are, keeping track of what they're doing, then you can actually see who's doing what kind of work, and you can reward people not just for getting new signups, but for actually doing the work that gets them signups. All right. Yeah, no, this really is, it's very simple and straightforward. Can't recommend this enough. We have to prospect, right? We have to. This is never going to be, I post things, people buy stuff situation, right? I mean, unless it's your goal to become like an Instagram influencer or something, and more power to you if that's you, but understand that that's not something that your team is going to be able to easily duplicate. So if you want a duplicable business, follow simple steps and repeat simple steps and do them the same way every time. And that's what this is all about right here. All right. Is it unusual to not hear anything from the follow-up messages? Ooh, well, is it unusual for a friend to not respond to you when you say, hey, how was your weekend? I would call that unusual. right? So I would maybe let's think about what the content and the context of the follow-up messages are when they're not being responded to. Because if it's coming across in such a way that they feel like this is something you're doing for you and not for them, that could be a reason why someone's not following up, right? Who's not responding. Um, or it could just be that it's just not there. And it's okay. We can move on to the next one because we're looking for people who are looking for us. We're looking for people who are ready to make real changes in their life and to see real results, right? And you can go out there and be an example of that. And you can inspire people who aren't ready yet to start thinking about what ready looks like for them. And then when they're ready, they will answer your messages, right? So don't worry too much about it. Don't stress too much about it, but definitely do think about what the content is if you're not getting a response. Let me see. Yeah. If you're if this is from a vendor event or something like that, if people aren't responding, it depends on how long it's been, right? Depending on how long it's been since you connected with that person. And this is why the timing is so important, right? Because if you've got a list of signups from a vendor event, right? People put their name down on a sheet of paper, their email down on a sheet of paper, and they did that a year ago, they've completely forgotten about you. If it was a month ago, they've completely forgotten about you. A week ago, they've almost completely forgotten about you, right? So we do want to make sure that we are following up soon after we connect with someone, right? Making sure that we are connecting and then staying in touch, getting to know them, right? I think it's really important that that we remember that the nature of our work as brand partners, yes, is to get oils into homes, but how do we get oils into homes? Well, we have to be invited into homes, guys. We got to be friends. We got to be friendly, right? And so our real job is to go make a lot of friends, right? Our real job is to go make a lot of friends and to be a good friend to others because good friends help good friends, right? So when your good friend says, man, I've been struggling with, this fatigue, and you're like, oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. What's going on? And they tell you more, and you're thinking in the back of your head, oh man, you know what? I bet if they had some Ningxia and some peppermint oil, we could perk them right up. And then you don't want to pounce because that's rude. And so you think about it, you pull some things together, and you go back to your friend after a day and you say, hey, friend, I've been thinking about what you shared with me yesterday, and I've got a couple of ideas that I think will help you. It'll only take maybe 20 minutes to kind of walk through this. But this is something that I've fixed for myself, and I've helped some other people with this as well. Would you be open to sitting down maybe Wednesday, 3 o'clock? Right? That works. And yeah, I wish it was like I post, they buy, I post, they buy. That would be great. But then we wouldn't have relationships. All right. What suggestions do you have for someone not on social media? Oh, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Send a text. People who don't use social media still use the phone, right? So text, call. Yeah, once a week. It's still once a week. Hey, what's going on with you? How have you been? Right? And yeah, I think once a week is totally fine. And again, like, if this is not progressing toward, an opportunity where you feel like you can be of service to them in that way, then you don't necessarily have to pursue the relationship, the conversations like that so aggressively. You can still come over here and say, you know what, I just need to be reminded to just check in on this person once a month. And now your system will remind you to do that. And you don't really have to worry quite so much about this because the relationship building phase of the brand partner pipeline is active prospecting, right? I am putting the automations that come from this onto people that I am actively engaging in the hopes that they will say yes to Young Living. And that's not everybody in your life, right? It's opportunities you've identified. It's conversations that have reached a point where you say, okay, you know what? I bet, yeah, this could work, right? And so if it's not moving in that direction, then that could just be an indicator that it's not their time, and that's fine. All right, I have two members on the builder link. I don't think they've used it. How can I tell? I don't know that we have stat tracking for leg builder links. That would be an interesting, um, that would be an interesting thing though, to maybe have here. So yeah, I mean, the only way you know if they're using it is whether or not they say they're using it. But it does show up as links on your website because this is, your website that these leg builder links are on. So so yeah, I would maybe check with them. And of course, if they're getting enrollments, they may be getting it through there. But that would be more of a conversation with your people thing. All right, Donna Marie, is there a training for reviving forgotten or neglected accounts? I feel like I have to restart or start new relationships with people in my downline. So there is actually what I would do, the shorthand here is I would just go back to this, starting right here, right? And so what you're doing, actually, really, let's think about this for a second. And I don't know if I have the slides where I can just grab them really quickly. But your systems that you're following here are first, we are getting someone in a conversation, and we're kind of following this sort of circular system, right? Where we're connecting, we're checking in, we're listening, we're connecting, we're checking in, we're listening, we're progressing the conversation forward to the point where we hear there's something we could do to help them, right? And then we offer an opportunity to work alongside them, to work with them, to help them achieve that goal, right? So we're not saying, here are Young Living products. If you take them, they will solve all of your problems. We are saying, here is there's a multifaceted approach that you're going to take to solve this problem that you have. What you're going to be recommending in this consultative shift is going to be, not just take Ningxia, but it's, take Ningxia and delay your caffeine intake in the morning and, and go to bed at the same time every night, right? And that's how Ningxia can help you improve your sleep, right? And so what we're doing is we're offering to be their accountability buddy, right? To be their coach for them to solve a problem that they have. And so that is the context through which we get our customers started, right? Because now they're seeing Young Living as being a means to an end for them. And we pay for means to ends, don't we? Right? So that makes this an easy sell. And then to have them continue using it, we need to be in a regular pattern of connecting with them, just like we did in the relationship building phase. We have getting our people going long term, finding their hero product. That is just as much follow-up, right? Except in this case, we are connecting on purpose for 20 minutes on a weekly basis to see, like, all right, so are we going to bed at 8 o'clock every night? Are we have we done the things we said we're going to do? And how is it working for you? Because what you want to find is that aha moment. You want to find their success story because they are not always going to necessarily see it themselves. We all are juggling 27 problems or more all of the time, right? And it's difficult for somebody to isolate the variables and know what's working for them or that something is working at all, especially if they're dealing with a deeply rooted systemic problem that they've been struggling with for a long time, right? I mean, if they've got terrible back pain, right? They probably aren't necessarily noticing that their sleep score is improving week over week since they started taking Ningxia, right? But you need to be the person that's in their life, having them look for those things because that's what's going to get you a customer for life. That's going to cause them to understand that this is the product that's doing this, right? And so what I would say to get back to the point here about triaging, if you will, your existing customers, folks who are on your team or people who have bought from you in the past who maybe weren't taken care of in this way that we're talking about here, go back to the beginning and get to know them. See how they're doing, just like on social, right? Send them a message. Hey, how's it going? Hey, congratulations on XYZ thing that you just posted about on Facebook. Hey, what are your goals? We're still in the beginning of 2025. Ask them about their New Year's resolutions and if they're keeping them, right? Ask them how that's going. Do they have any big goals or big plans for the year? Get to know them. Ford, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and goals. Get to know them and then listen for that opportunity to serve. And since they already know that they can use Young Living products, they have an account, right? They're familiar enough. It's going to be an easier sell, but it's still a sell, right? And so instead of saying, hey, I'd like to show you how you can get this problem solved, you get to come right out and say, hey, you know what? I think I can help you build an order that'll get you the products that you need, and you've got me here to help you, right? To make sure that you get this done. Thank you for that question. Awesome. Do you guys have any more questions before we go today? Thank you so much. And I apologize, I'm under the weather, but slowly improving. Yeah, hopefully out of the weeds next week. Digize and peppermint are my saving grace. And thank you. Thank you guys. That is really the only thing that has helped me today are those two things. Now I just need to keep some Ningxia down. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will be back same time next week. Bring your team, bring your friends. These Thursday calls are free, right? So if you want to, obviously you can share your referral link to your friends and team, right? And that's all, again, right here, share my site, my referral link, but bring your friends, have them come to one of these trainings. And I hope that they get as much out of it as you do. And of course, we hope to see you back here again, same time next week. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.